this way of creating our magical lives using theta brainwaves is really easy. And I mean, people say stuff like that all the time, but I can easily teach you how to access your magical life through the theta brainwave state. You don't have to spend 20 years as a monk or living in an ashram or to be able to learn how to create theta brainwaves and then use them to attract, manifest, create the things that you love. Neuroscience in the last 20 years or so has figured out all kinds of things about how our brains work that actually are things that the mystics have known for thousands of years. So let me just quick explain the different brainwave states. So in our day-to-day life, our brain, the different lobes of our brain are mostly producing beta waves. Beta waves are really fast. They shoot all over between the different lobes of our brain. They're very short waves at a high frequency, a relatively high frequency. And these are the brain waves that we are normally producing just as we go about our business, as we think, oh, I need to run past the post office. And oh, when I do that, I should probably stop and pick up milk. Wait, let me go to the fridge and see, are we low on milk? Oh yeah, we're low on milk. When we're in that kind of thinking, we're producing these beta waves. And unfortunately, the beta waves are where those thoughts always are shooting by as well, like, I'm not good enough to do that thing I dream of. It flits through your mind. Oh, we're going to run out of money. All of those negative thoughts, they're flitting through there in this beta wave state, often without us being consciously aware of them at all. So that's normal everyday life for an untrained brain. And our brains aren't serving us very well in that. A bit slower than beta waves are alpha waves. Alpha waves are what is going on in our brain when we're a bit more relaxed, when we're not having all those thoughts flying around. Slower, more peaceful thoughts. And then there's a special state of alpha waves that are called synchronous alpha waves. And what happens with synchronous alpha waves is the different lobes of our brain start all making alpha waves in unison. So it's like they're going like this. Instead of with the beta waves, there might be one here and one here, and they're all over. With synchronous alpha, we get these slower alpha waves, and they're all going in unison from all the lobes of our brain. And that state is what was named and described in the 60s by this guy whose name I always slaughter, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, a Hungarian scientist. And he called this state flow. So flow is when you are deeply engrossed in something usually outside of yourself. So a creative project, something with problem solving, where your whole being is focused on this thing that is keeping your interest and your attention. Flow is the state of those aha moments where you're like, oh, ooh, I just put together this and this, and insights come to you, or creative inspirations. So that's flow, and they know now that that is the state of synchronous alpha. Then the next slower brain waves are called theta waves. And for most people who haven't done a lot of brain training things like meditation or like some of these scientific approaches, we produce theta waves when we're asleep and dreaming. That's what's usually going on when we're in the rapid eye movement state of sleep. And theta waves are even slower than beta than alpha, then theta. And theta waves are a really interesting state of being because think about your dream state. It's this state of all of the normal rules of daily existence as an embodied being don't don't count anymore. So, for example, gravity. Have you had dreams where you were flying? Suddenly gravity was altered and you could fly in that theta dreaming state. All the rules, I'm saying rules, but all the concepts that we have about time don't exist in the dream state. Have you ever had a dream where this happened and then that happened, and there had to have been time in between there, except there wasn't in the dream? As an example, maybe, and I'll say time and chronology. So as an example, you're your adult self in this dream, and somehow you're talking to your dead grandfather, but in the dream, he's a little boy. But that chronology, that thing of time of him having been alive on the planet before you, suddenly that rule doesn't apply in our dreams. And the rule of people aging doesn't necessarily apply in our dreams. You look at your dead grandpa and he's a little boy. And also all of the concepts and the things that go into us recognizing people don't apply in that theta dream state. For example, there's a person in your dream and you say to somebody the next morning, yeah, I had this dream. And Joe was in this dream. I know it was him, but he didn't look anything like him. He was like, really tall and skinny. And in real life, Joe is, short and whatever. Yet somehow you can say, but I know it was him. So all of our normal rules about how we recognize people physically, that just goes out the window in dreams, and somehow we recognize essence. That was Joe, even though it didn't look like him. I don't know how I knew that, but I just knew. There's no distances in our dreams, or the rules of distance don't matter. You can be hanging out in your kitchen with your dead grandfather, who's now a baby or a boy, and then suddenly you're transported to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a submarine. It's actually something I've loved this for years in the Bible. Jesus, they say, he sometimes would go from like this side of the Sea of Galilee to that side instantly, and it would say he just was there immediately and nobody knew how it happened. In the dream theta state, that happens all the time. Those rules about distances and us being physically present in one place and then having to go to the next place, those go out the window. So the dream state is really, really cool. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why accessing it is connected with manifesting our magical lives. Let me just quick say a little bit more about the delta state, because first we have the beta fast waves, the normal day-to-day, and then we have the alpha waves, that flow state, being more relaxed. Then we have theta when we're asleep at night, dreaming. And then we have delta waves, and delta waves are the slowest, and they're what we're producing when we're in deep, dreamless sleep. So here's what happens. We can learn very easily, and I'm going to teach you in that webinar I keep talking about, how to access theta waves when we're conscious. And what we're doing is we are engaging our spirits, our souls, our higher selves to interact with the world in a way that we can't even imagine in our conscious life. What happens is that when we enter the theta brainwave state, we are able to let go of all the reasons why we can't be that lottery winner. We can let go of all the things that in waking life we say, oh, that's impossible. All of those neural pathways that you've said over and over, oh, I'm not good enough. That could never happen. I never find money. I never win the lottery. You can let go of that in the theta state because it's this place of amazing possibilities. And then from that place, we can say, what wants to happen? And instead of trying with our minds to believe, oh, something wants to happen and I'm supposed to manifest it, it just sinks into our souls. It settles in us. And we just know in our knowers that thing's going to happen.